All right. Hello. Good morning, evening, afternoon, etc. Hope everyone's having a pleasant Sunday. Where are we at? That didn't work. That's good. What's going on? What's going on? Hello, Emery. Hello. Queco. Hello. Why is Discord not discording? Alert management. Alert. Julian. Hello. Oh man, as always, a half my setup is not working, which is exciting. Oh no, that's working. Okay, we're there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. I don't know what we're talking about. This is just how. Is this not how everyone dresses for Sunday lunch? Hello, hello, hello. So, game dev. We're going to do some today. Should be fun. I've got a rough idea of what I think we need to do, and we'll probably do it. Oh, now that is something I am missing. Is a dry martini. Evening all. Hello. I will see how long this lasts because it's, not the most comfortable setup, but I thought it would be amusing given the latest video. Right, so let's get up what we've got so far and we'll have a quick chat through what the plan for today is. I stand up every day. I have a standing desk. I always stream standing up. Thanks, Harand. I appreciate it. So, Johnny, subscribed. Thank you very much. On Twitch, much appreciated. If the cat does what the cat does, and I have very little agency or control over its life, as is, I believe, the way with most cats. If it appears, I will Lion King it up. Okay, so we've got almost what passes for a game. So we have kind of two barrels, one that is static and one that moves with us. Crucially, at the moment, it only moves when we look at it, but that's kind of irrelevant for the moment. And the game at the moment is to get the barrel to be pretty close to the other one, and if it does, the game leans on its sword and just like dies, and that's how we know we've won. So we probably don't want that. What we want is a bit more levels. So level apple, as it's called at the moment, because we've just been giving them fruit names, so there's no inherent ordering or information within the level. It's just somewhat arbitrary. It takes a whole bunch of stuff, which I absolutely hate. Like, this is a lot of stuff to pass in. What I want to do today, first thing today, is I want to basically abstract probably everything to here into some sort of resource manager, resource cache, what you want to call it. Oh, yep, wrong scene. Let's press that button. There we go. Thank you. Awkward. Anyway, yes. So I want to take all this governance. Oh, does that mean the game was tiny as well? Turns out I don't know what I'm doing. What I do is just make it look like I know what I'm doing by wearing a bow tie. Yeah, so this is what we got. It's pretty good. I want to take all this gubbins and probably put it into some sort of, I don't know what you call it. I don't really like the name manager, it's a bit nebulous. Material cache. And then we can just pass that in and then query for the bits that we want. So it's going to basically be a store for meshes, materials, textures, and possibly the samplers as well. I think it should probably own them as well. It'll be like the owner of all these things, and then at some point in the future, we can release them back or reference count them or kind of build on that abstraction that we've got. I was super tempted to just wear shorts under this, but actually I've paid for the full suit, so I wear the full suit. Didn't pay for it for the video, but I just I don't know about you, but I already happen to own a dinner jacket and a bow tie and a dress shirt, so it was an excuse to wear it for a video. Hmm. So I strongly suspect barrels won't be the kind of motif at the end of it. It might be, but they are just assets that I happen to have and purchased and using. So I don't know what the game's going to be called or what it's going to sort of ultimately look like. This is true. I could deduct the I could use it to offset my tax, but maybe if I need another one, because the sleeves are a little bit short on this now, because it is, I think it's 10 years old, this jacket. Thank you for all the value experience you're sharing. No worries. I'm glad you enjoy it. I kind of just like talking about technical things to people who are interested in listening to me talk about technical things. So it's kind of working out on YouTube at the moment. I'm quite pleased with that. It is a good working name. Yeah, sure. Barrels of Fun is a great working name. Okay, so I'm going to want like a resource. What are we going to call it? Like cache. I've not really thought, as with everything I write, I've given it almost zero thought up until now. I figured we'd figure it out live. So the game object, which we've got now, creates the samplers, creates the textures, and the game object owns them, which I don't think it's kind of right to just sort of sit in there. I think we want to stuff them in something else, which might be owned by game. It doesn't really matter, and then we can pass that around. So eventually we might even be able to put. Oh no, wait a minute. No, we will put materials in there. We won't need to put shaders and stuff in there. So I think that's kind of beyond the scope of what we're doing here, like full on like networking and P2P sharing. I suspect that if that's your biggest unknown, then your project probably has quite a long way to go. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way. I mean that in a totally like I'm rooting for you, but just bear in mind like that's quite a massive hurdle to overcome. Feel free to. I probably can't provide much advice live for that because of all the other stuff that's going on, but feel free to join the Discord and ask questions, and I'm sure people will gladly help out. You can always drop me an email as well. But I can't, I think in the nicest possible way, I can't stop the stream to kind of build someone else's game. Hopefully that makes sense. Resource cache. And then we're going to want some publics and probably some privates. All that good stuff. Now, basically, all we're going to be building is a collection of hash tables or hash maps. And I believe we've built this before for strings. Like we have a string map primitive, which has the heterogeneous lookup already done for us, which is a miserable C++ term for does the right thing for string keys in an efficient way. Without creating loads of extra copies and allocations. So I suspect we'll probably use that. String map. So we should be able to have like a actually, that's a good point. This is going to own it, so let's also bring in something like where are we going to start? Let's start at the top of level. So this is mesh. So let's start with mesh. And then we'll do. I think rather than trying to boil the ocean, we'll add these bit by bit and kind of build it out as we go along. So we've got a string map, and then we're going to have a mesh. And then be like meshes. The thing is something like this. I'm basically just figuring out the API as we go along. There's email addresses on the channel under like about me or somewhere on YouTube. On the YouTube page channel, there's contact information. You can just use that as kind of an email address that I created for anyone to contact me. I'm a little bit behind on those emails, so if anyone here has contacted me recently, I apologise if I've not responded to you. I've just been busy with other things, which is not a great excuse, but it is largely the truth. And there's also Discord as well. Well, setting up the Discord has taken up a fair amount of time, even though, like I said, AC has done most of the work, but I've still been kind of trying to be active in there, trying to curate that a little bit. So we're going to want to be able to get a mesh, I suspect. Get a mesh with the string view name const. That seems like a thing we'd want to do. That's going to be a simple lookup into the map. And then we're going to need a way of putting a mesh in there. So how does it work? Let's remind ourselves how meshes are actually created at the moment. So where do we create a mesh? We have a mesh loader, which is the abstraction which handles all the intricacies of the vertices, the vertex data, the indices, all that sort of stuff. I'm kind of happy to keep that separate, but I think once we've got it, we probably want to stick it into the cache. So where do we use mesh loader? We use mesh loader to create a mesh. So what's this constructor that takes? That takes the mesh data. So I think we could probably do something like mesh star. Oh, what's going on? Something's happening on Twitch. A big pop-up came up and I didn't see what it was, but I assume it's good news, so let's roll with it. Have I got any better analytics? Oh, auto mesh. Yes, sorry. I was writing some code earlier where I had to use the old style, and it's amazing how sometimes you just flick back into it. Thank you. Ah, I see. Follow a goal. Exciting. Hello, Matthias. Thank you, Jaso. Okay, and then something like am I going mad with this? Like auto insert mesh stood string view name args. Wait a minute. Mesh star. Oh. Hfodov, HFODF, Hfodov has subscribed. Thank you very much. Today's goal is to abstract away a lot of the resources that we're kind of munging into the levels, into a abstraction like a resource cache, so meshes, materials, textures, and then after that I want to add another level and then wire up those levels so one follows the other, and then I want to basically throw all the level stuff away and start again in a more data-driven way. But I actually have an idea on that, so we'll see where we get to today. On Discord there is a video suggestion place, channel, room, whatever we call it, Oliver, so feel free to stick it in that. No, I stood up, I have a standing desk for this kind of thing. Otherwise my posture is terrible. As when I sit in my chair which reclines, as I get through the day, I slowly get like this, and then I finish the day almost entirely horizontal. Thanks, Quacko, much appreciated. I must figure out how to get that to work on YouTube as well, but who has the time? And then something like I'm gonna posit that it is a error to replace an existing resource. That's so. Cert. Oh, gonna get some ranges. First range of the day. Std ranges contains. Would that work actually, or is it gonna be find on an ordered map? I think it's actually. Actually, it's just meshes.contains, isn't it? Assert, and it's not assert, it's expect. Not name already exists. Yeah, it's just a grab bag of stuff that we need to pass around. It's basically to make this a bit nicer. So every time we create a level, we don't have to bung in all these resources. It just exists in a single place we can pass around, and it's going to own them as well, I think. Thanks. If I put those, always get those in the wrong place. All right. So we'll check that doesn't exist, and then we will do meshes.emplace name stood forward. I think this is the rooms that I want. I always get it wrong. Does unordered map give you back the iterator to the thing you just inserted? I think I might want in place actually. I think I want. Oh no, I do have in place, and then const auto res equals that, and then we can again expect res dot second insertion to it's like insertion failed, and that's not failed. That's actually a bit of a misnomer. Insertion failed as key exists. So let me get up a window to show what I'm chatting about. Otherwise, it does look like I'm just making this up as I go along. So in place returns a pair, and the return value is a pair consisting of an iterator to the inserted element or to the element that prevented the insertion, and a bool value set to true if and only if the insertion took place. So again, I'm kind of considering this as part of the contract of resource cache. You cannot replace existing things. So this is just a second check. These will get, like, this should catch it anyway, but it's might as well check it as we're there. And then I should be able to just do return std address of star. I'll get this right. Star res dot first. I suppose yes, you're right. I could just unpack this here and give it a better name. So iter inserted And then we just do expect inserted, and then do iter. That's right. Stood forward because this means we can construct a mesh with any arguments, and this will perfectly forward them and construct them in place directly into the hash map. So it just kind of shuffles everything along. In theory, we should be able to use the move constructor as well and stood move stuff in, I think. That's what I'm kind of hoping we can do, but we'll see. I almost feel like this is now kind of a header-only library anyway, so I'm tempted just to implement this here. So we'll expect that exists. So we'll expect it. So doesn't exist, and then return surge address of meshes name. That should be what we want. Let's bring this into game and then see if this blends. What do we call it? Resource cache. Blah. Okay. Where are we at? Where's the first error? Resource cache line 30. Why is it not like that? Why is it not like the square bracket operator? No operator found, which takes a left-hand operator of type unordered maps to basic or there is no acceptable conversion. Note conversion loses qualifiers, eh? Oh, it's because I wonder if that fixes it. Because I'm returning a non-const pointer into it. I don't plan to use any formal like idiom for an engine because it's not really an engine. I'm just going to do whatever makes sense at the time. So yeah, again, it's not designed to be super flexible and extensible. This is designed just to serve the needs that we have here and now. I don't really want at though because I've already checked the bounds checking. Unless is the array operator overload doesn't get the heterogeneous lookup. That's what I gotta check. There's a table somewhere. Ah, here we go. Okay, fine. So yeah. This was planned for C++23 in P2363. C++ compile support. Did this make it into 23 and has anyone implemented it? Otherwise I can just use find. In fact, actually find might make it easier anyway. No, okay. No one supports it. That's fine. We can do just auto mesh equals meshes find name and then expect mesh to not equal stood ranges end. Meshes does not exist name Okay. And then we should be able to do return std address of mesh second. See if that blends. Yeah, okay, that works. So I deliberately want a narrow contract here because I was kind of reflecting on a lot of the code we've written, and I reread that one Lakos paper that I read every year. And I think that a lot of the code I've written so far has unnecessarily wide contracts, which has certain implications. You know, the code is more complex, it's harder to test, blah, blah, blah. So I'm trying to go for, by narrow contract, I mean, like, it is undefined for certain inputs, i.e. there are preconditions on the function. So my precondition here is that name must exist. Like through defensive programming, like I will check in debug, but in release, I'm just going to do it. And it is a bug, because this is a precondition of the function that mesh must exist, or name must exist. It is a bug in the caller to violate that. So I won't be checking it. So, and then obviously when we get contracts, that will become easier, because really, if there is a precondition, it has to be documented somewhere. So really, there should be a comment on this saying name must exist. But hopefully when I get some time to tidy this code up a bit and open source some subset of it, I will kind of document that a bit better. But yeah, I mean, I guess we could start doing it now, right? Which is, I suppose there's no need to not do it now. Yeah, mesh. Param name of mesh to get must exist, or undefined behavior if it doesn't exist, returns pointer to requested mesh. Cool. Yeah, I've not had a chance to look at contracts yet. Maybe this would be a chance to kind of look at it, but I want to just kind of get this going, and probably I'll review that separately. Yeah, at some point we'll need to release it, but for now, like when we've just got a couple of levels and the game's going to die at the end anyway, I'm not too fussed about coding all that in. But yeah, I think we'll either want to reference count it, or just optionally, like, so at the end of the level you can be like, I know I don't need these anymore. So yeah. Let's fix up those tooling errors so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, right. Okay, right, so let's go and start wiring this up. So we're going to have... I'm getting warm. I might have to take this get up off in a minute. Or at least take the dinner jacket off. Auto resource cache equals resource cache. Okay. And then I'm hoping what I can do then is mesh becomes resource cache dot insert mesh barrel reader whatever this mess is. I've got two L's there. So sorry, some questions. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I guess I have a different account for that. Undefined behavior just means that the standard has not specified what will happen at that point. So anything can happen. There's this kind of concept of like narrow and wide contracts in functions where I kind of briefly spoke about this a second ago, where a wide contract is valid for all inputs. So you check and do something well defined for all of them. That could be throw an error, that could be return an error code, it could be terminate. It doesn't really matter. Narrow contracts are where you only are valid for certain inputs and the rest are effectively undefined. So anything could happen. But in that case, it is a bug on the caller to not adhere to that contract. You've clearly set out a contract saying, if you give me valid input, here is what I'll give you back, and then you've violated that, so anything can happen. There's kind of advantages over, like, it sounds like you would always want wide contracts, and I think I spent a large part of my early career thinking that, but actually it's a lot of extra code, it's a lot harder to test, sometimes it's even impossible to test, so it kind of gives you this false sense of security. It makes it much harder to make API changes that are backwards compatible. There's actually quite a lot of reasons to prefer narrow contracts. So yeah, I kind of just leave it up to that. But the kind of orthogonal concept to this is defensive programming, where in debug mode, I'll assert, or in this case expect, like the absolute crap out of it, as a good citizen to help you find where your bugs are. But in release mode, that's all gone because, again, we should at that point be conforming to these contracts. Yeah, exactly. Your code should have no undefined behavior. Your program should be well defined, as in you should. Well, it's exactly it should be well defined. Given the standard, the actions it performs should be understood and well known and defined. And there's perf performance implication as well of like constantly bounds checking and stuff like that. So a lot of APIs give you both, so you kind of get the choice. So if you look at, for instance, the good example of this is Vector. They have a operator. So this is a narrow contract. This is only valid if pos is less than the size of the elements, right? It's less than size, and is zero inclusive to size. Otherwise, it's undefined. It'll even say somewhere probably here undefined behavior. Accessing a non-existent element through this operator is undefined behavior. And then you've got at, which is the wide version. There is no pos you can pass into here which has undefined behavior, because it will just throw, and that is well defined. I don't think we need any meta programming at the moment, but like I'm more than happy to do it when we need it. I just don't think we need it at the moment. The caveat, I feel like I'm just reeling off the paper now, but the kind of the caveat to this is anything that's supplies by a user should be aggressively checked and never be given the chance to exhibit UB, because that's a security concern. So you should aggressively check everything. So when we read in all this from, say, a file eventually, which tells us how to set up the level, like we should aggressively check that all that is valid and all the material names exist and get loaded into the cache and stuff like that, because we don't want anyone to force undefined behavior, basically, like from a user input perspective. So yeah, never trust user input. I don't know. I think we could always do with more templates. We've already written some templates. Okay. We're not going to look at the logging today. That's already a mess. Well, it's not a mess. It works. It works now. Okay, so we've shoved this into here, which means mesh is now a pointer. I think mesh's contract means we probably do want to return a const pointer. I guess, yeah, because everything is const on it, right? So let's go back to the resource cache. Again, this is quite organic. Okay. Get rid of that and then do int const auto mesh equals that. Okay, so now where we use this mesh, let's rewrite the level. So we use this resource cache, and then let's just pass in resource cache and what we should be able to do is just slowly start removing these. I believe I've actually done the barrel mesh. Let's commit. Let's do both. So where's the floor mesh? Okay, here it is. So this should now be const auto floor mesh equals resource cache dot insert mesh floor mesh loader dot cube. Okay, and then we can get rid of that, and then we can get rid of that, and then we should be able to just stick in here the resource cache. Gotta live. I'm dressed to live dangerously today, so we're gonna play fast and loose with the rules of software engineering. Yeah, so the thing about C++, right, is that it kind of is very, for better or for worse, it's kind of very unopinionated on the style of code you write. It will let you do object-oriented, imperative, procedural, whatever you want to call it, functional, meta-programming. It kind of doesn't really force too much upon you, so I think of C++ more of a toolbox or a bunch of Lego bricks that kind of allow you to assemble whatever solution you want with having very minimal opinion on how you do that. It does mean there's very little guidance and you can make quite the mess, but if you get it right, it's pretty good. So I'm using instead address of because I guess it's kind of habit, because I don't think I overload the address of operator except for one specific place that I know, but unless I've got it wrong, I think it is right. The keyboard is divisive. Some people like it, some people don't. I've chosen to keep it on because I like the sound of the keyboard and I can hear it, so I kind of feel like it's part of the experience. If you don't like it, I do apologize. It's, again, it is not for everyone. Yeah, so there's no like great. Pythonic is such a great example, right? There's this concept in Python of like the Pythonic way of doing something, and there isn't really that in C++. Similarly, if you do C#, like Microsoft gives you like a style guide and some kind of advice on like the shape of things, and C++ is like, here's a bunch of tools, good luck. Okay, so let's go back to unmanageable bird. I was looking for a way to contribute to a channel. You have too many subscriptions, so won't be joining as a member. But here's a coffee from me. Thank you very much appreciated. Like, I have zero expectation for people to subscribe or anything. I offer it because some people can and want to, and that's absolutely fine. The best way, but thank you very much. That's a really kind gesture, and I really appreciate that. The best way for anyone to contribute is really to watch the content and send the good signals to the algorithms that this is something you enjoy, because that's how it kind of spreads and we get more people. Oh, we've just ticked over 100 viewers on YouTube, which is exciting, and nearly 30 on Twitch, so we're getting there. We are getting there. What am I doing in my life? Resource cache, I think. So this should be now something like resource cache floor, right? Again, like, I'm expected to know what's in there, and it is my bug if it is not. We could extend the resource cache API to be able to have like a contains, so you could be like query it. For now, we don't need that because the scope of it is small enough that we should know what is going on, and we're running it in debug mode anyway. But if this got bigger, then yeah, we could do that. And then somewhere down here, barrel mesh. So let's do barrel mesh, resource cache, barrel mesh. Right. What have I done wrong? Why is that? Oh, of course, because I don't have the square bracket overload on it, because that won't make any sense. I need to do dot mesh floor. Sorry, got there in the end. Yeah, thank you. I think part of the issue is that today represents one of the 10 nice days of weather we're allowed in the UK. So I was out in the garden earlier with a few bevies, so this whole stream is going to be interesting. Yeah, of course, I was wearing this as well outside in the garden. Obviously, I'm not a psychopath. No barbecue. I think maybe I wish I regret not. To be truly British, I should have gotten sunburn and nuked some food on the barbecue. But I'm still got a nice tan line here. What's going on? What's going on? Mesh local. If I monitor there, floor mesh local variables uninitialized but not reference. Game 102. Oh, of course, I don't even need to keep these as pointers now, do I? As in, I don't need to get a handle to the thing I've just put into the cache, because the cache is the abstraction that we're going to be pulling it out of later. Maybe someone was right with my address of. What am I trying to do? Not convert from TY to game mesh star. Do. 24. No, there should be literally no need to reinterpret cast this because it is stored here. Like, why? Is it going to tell me what I was trying to convert it to? That would be helpful. So in place. So what have I? More of an iterator, right? But I can. Oh wait a minute. Is it that? Let's take the address of the iterator and it gives me the underlying object. That doesn't sound right. Oh yes, you're right. You're right. It is. I had this earlier. The iterator itself contains a first and second element, which is the key and the value. I'm calling insert mesh. That should be a reference, right? Yes, sorry. That's arguably worse. Someone somewhere tell me where the error is. Doesn't like my forwarding, does it? I think it's the way I'm constructing it. Yeah, it's what it's doing is it's passing the name to it rather than as the key. Do I need to make pair? Like, is this literally what we were saying? Like, I really don't like working with like hash maps in C++. I just find that a lot of it is very incredibly obtuse. I mean, printfs won't help you if it doesn't compile. I think. Hang on. Is it actually now what I want is mesh? That's. Or even Kangzi's unhappy with that. Hang on, what have I done? Whoa. That's right. I think I'm there. I'm dressed up because the last YouTube video, I was wearing this, and I figured a lot of new people would be joining off the back of that. So I thought it'd be fun to dress appropriately. I guess would be the real answer. The pithy answer is this is how I always dress on a Sunday. So, okay, the issue there was like part of C++'s misery. In place, constructs it in place within the whatever the container is. It is actually expecting a pair of things to emplace, that being the key and the object. So I had to construct the object and the key, slap it in a pair. I kind of loath to admit that Haranda's right, and it is all just stood pairs. Didn't expect that to compile. How dare you? How outrageous. Okay, let's just see if this runs now, because just because it compiles doesn't mean it runs. I was looking through a old Git repo from some place I worked a while ago, and there was just 3 commits that really stood out to me, like back to back within like an hour of each other. And it was just like, doesn't compile, compiles but does not link, and then links but does not work. And I feel like I felt the pain that they had gone through in those sort of 3 very short commits. What kind of game are we building? Well, hopefully it'll run and I can show you. It's not looking good. Oh, it is looking good. So it's going to be a kind of puzzle game with a couple of levels. At the moment, it's kind of based on movement and like occlusion, I guess, visibility. So this barrel always moves with the player, except for when you don't look at it, then it doesn't move. So it only moves when you look at it. So hopefully you can kind of get an idea of maybe some of the mechanics there. And at the moment, the idea is just to get it to the target. And if you do get it, the game kills itself. Gracefully exits with surprise and much fanfare. We have physics. I just don't need it. Spent a couple of streams adding that and then threw it all away. Such is life. Okay, I think that's kind of... Hopefully you can kind of see what we're going to be doing for at least the next hour or so. So let's comment on this up. So commit add initial resource cache. And then... integrate resource cache for... What did we just do it for? For mesh. I kind of feel like I'm determined to stay in this dinner jacket now until the end, despite it being incredibly warm in my sort of 2 by 3 meter box. Okay, let's just keep going. Let's power through. So let's go back to game. So let's go back to level, sorry. So the next one is materials. I mean, good place to start as any. So can we template this whole thing? Like, every... because I'm not wrong, right? Like, I'm just going to have several maps all doing the same, all mapping strings to things. I feel like... Well, let's try. But it's fun. And you're right, there's literally like 2 or 3, there's like 3 or 4 types. We could just copy and paste the code. But I've already started writing it. So I'm going to take 5 minutes and just see what my brain comes up with, and if it is untenable, then... Because what I don't know is how to, off the top of my head, is how to expand this out into multiple maps based on the number of arguments with the different types. because there'd be different types. So I can't use std array. Could use tuple. There's like string map. Like something like that? Is that what I want? And then you're going to want to be able to get the yeah, so I'm only coding the whole game. The point is the whole game should, every single line of code for at least the initial release should be written live. That I do nothing off stream, or anything I do off stream, I revert and then do it again live. So you should be able to just watch them all and see every single line of code being built. There's a value to be had from having all the types in one tuple. I'm just the issue I'm trying to solve is like how do I expand out multiple maps for the different types, unless I do some sort of meta programming. I think there's value to be had because it's an interesting thought exercise. That's how I'm going to justify it. But so that's going to have tuples. So what you would then have to have is a separate argument, like t. Oh, I can't have t. U. Ooh. All right, and then I need to be able to find in the tuple which one those corresponds to. No, I need to know. I need to get the index into. Hang on. What's the best way of finding out within a type list the index of a type, assuming they're all unique? I'm probably gonna have to peel them off. Static const expr index equals 0 equals the same as. Oh, hang on, I have to pass in a t. It's already more complex than I thought it was going to be. Assuming tuple is the right choice, and assuming this actually compiles to what I think it does. Oh, interesting. You could just use get. Yes, actually, I think that might work. Const auto map equals std get. Well, it's going to have to be string map u, right? Of meshes. Sorry. Maps. What I'm trying to do is make the code infinitely more complex, but at the same time make it seem conceptually simpler. At the super high level, resource cache is just a bunch of hash tables which map strings to resources, so I can stuff them in there and pass around just the cache. and retrieves things from them. However, having done mesh and about to do material, I've realized that there's going to be a lot of duplicate code, so I'm trying to use some template metaprogramming to, in theory, make my life easier. What am I? All right. And now, template class T. Okay. Yeah, I format like Tatsu spaces is a tooling problem, and you should write code however you want it to write, and then use a tool to make it look all the same, and ideally the same as all the other code you're working on. Like, it's kind of a solved problem. Like, I mean, Clang format isn't perfect. It's a bit funny with ranges, but you know, it's better than the alternative. Yeah, I mean, like, just because U is type safe doesn't mean that the name I passed in is valid, is going to exist. This is the difference between the compile time and the runtime guarantees. Like, this can guarantee that this U exists, but this I have to runtime check whether I've actually stuffed that index, that key, into the hash map, hash table, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so now I feel like we've basically solved everything all at once. Except you and you. Yes, you're right. A good spot. I'm going to want to make sure that's a reference as well, otherwise I'm going to make a copy of it, and that would be sad. Pointer to requested object. Get, and I need to change all the function names as well. Get object. So that's going to be something like that. Oh, cool. Can't use square brackets because it's templated. Damn it. No. That's just insert. Actually, that's much cleaner. I return a pointer because I use pointers everywhere else, because whilst obviously they could be null, like part of the contract is that they will never be null, and in places I want to store them in a vector, I want to compare. I want identity equality rather than value equality. So actually, pointers, for the way I've constructed a lot of the other code, for me, I think pointers makes more sense than references. Ideally, I should create like a not null wrapper for it, like from GLSL, the Microsoft library. But yeah, that's my view on it. Yeah, so this is a good point. I've kind of. I don't need that now. Okay. And now we can actually test this, because before we couldn't test it, because I can't, in a unit test, it's very hard for me to construct a texture object because it requires an OpenGL context. Now we can write unit tests for this, because we can just template it on something else. So really, it's arguably better. I think I've got all the meshes. I think I've got all the meshes. Oh, good point. Yes, that cannot be const, because I'm going to slap something in it. Okay, right. So now let's go fix up all our code. Game. So now we should be able to insert mesh. Insert mesh. I will have nothing bad to say against my unit tests. They are right. So what I want to do as well actually is class mesh, class texture, class material, and have something like using default cache equals resource cache mesh material texture. It just makes this easier to pass around, so I don't have to specify all these types every time. So now if we go back to game, resource cache, we can actually do default cache, which means you don't have to bother specifying all those types now. And then in level, we can make this default. And then in level, see if that blends. See, it was part of the master plan. Oh, bleh. Variable equals class instance. Are you talking about deducing this, or are you maybe talking about something else? I'm not sure. Just debugging's fine. We'll figure it out. I got a debugger now. We can just attach it and see what's going on. Yes, you're right. It does. And that will need to be a mesh because these are all templated now. Mesh. We're getting there. Level 86. Well, I like to think everyone is sitting there at home silently going, whenever it compiles and builds. That's how I visualize it in my head. Nailed it. Look at that. Perfect. Like, I don't see what everyone was talking about. How can how can you say that this isn't clearer? I should include tuple. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not be silly. I will take it, and I will ignore the sarcasm. Okay, let's write a test. Tests, resource cache, tests.cp, hash include gtest.h, hash include resource cache, test, resource cache. Simple. You know what it's going to be. And then let's find ourselves a CMake file. PQRS resource cache test SCP cmake -- build dot and ctest. Have I misspelled something? Oh, I have. Got to catch them all. Failed. Nice. Nailed it. So what are we testing? Resource cache. We're going to test the insert. So auto cache equals game resource cache int isn't what hiding. Have I missed something? Yeah, I mean, gtest is incredibly complex under the hood. It's doing a lot of stuff to run those tests and all the governance that goes with it. So we should be able to do cache dot so test the insert first. So cache dot insert int 3 const auto v equals that, and then we should be able to do assert equals star v 3. That's what we want. Let's check that. Hey, what are you chatting about? Oh, because I'll give it a key, haven't I? A long day. I say this every stream because I always stream reasonably late after a long day. Yes, we need a name for an int. Okay, we'll get in there. Look, it's hot in this dinner jacket. I feel like, Haran, your comment about waiting for the bug to bite you 2 weeks before shipping is from experience. You see, also now, because we've got a narrow contract, we can just test that the get works because we meet the preconditions. We don't have to test, like, oh, does it throw or whatever. It makes the testing simpler. I have no idea why it takes that long. Maybe it's, I suspect, I think it spins up each one in a separate process, I think, and then something WSL. I don't know. Okay. I'm pretty pleased with that. I think that's worth a commit. So let's do refactor resource cache to be templated and add tests. Integrate resource cache changes. Yes, I think you can run gtest parallel. I don't know how ctest does it though. It's interesting actually. So is it like If I just run the executable. Oh, it's interesting. It's C-test that is taking all that time, not Google test. That is interesting. I wonder why that is. Oh. Shrug. I'm happy to move on with my life. It annoys me when I don't understand things sometimes, but that's one thing I'm happy to accept that it's not worth. It's going to get in the way of writing more templates if we stop to figure that one out. If I know about a default... Oh. That's a bug. No, hang on, no. It does have a virtual destructor, hey? What's it chat about? Oh. Okay, so we should be able to start shoving the materials into there now. So let's start adding in a resource cache.insert material. I guess this would also be barrel. There's no name clash because they're different types, they're different maps. No, do share them. I'm interested in your industry insight. Also, aren't you leaving the industry so you can? I assume you're going to be burning the bridges behind you. That is not good advice, by the way. That's a joke. So this should just be able to take vertex shader, barrel fragment shader, right? No, because we just we use perfect forwarding to construct those place, so we should have to drop that. Right, and then drop that. What other materials we got? We've got the checkerboard material, so that's the floor material. So we should be able to do. Let's just add the floor material, and that's going to be the vertex shader and the checkerboard material. Right, so we can get rid of that. Right, okay. Shader. Okay. I think we're getting there. So let's go back to the apple. Drop the materials. Go here. Go. Resource cache.get material floor. And then resource cache.get material barrel. What was it not like? What have I done? Oh, because I've deleted the wrong thing, that's why. Ugh. What was the order? Floor textures, barrel textures. Floor textures. Barrel textures. Okay, so if that blends. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you for being here. Barrel material undeclared. So this is resource cache dot get material floor. So this is now const, and we okay. As far as I'm aware, and I'm happy for a language lawyer to correct me, I don't think there's any difference between type name T and class T. I think. I always use class because it's less typing. I'm prepared. I would be prepared to admit there might be some corner case that I'm unaware of that where the distinction does matter, but for most cases, I think it's the same. I think type name might have come first, and then they added class later. Yeah, see, now I've said it, there's something in the back of my mind which says there may be some weird edge case. Except for template parameters. Okay. Yeah, okay, fine. We found the difference. I might just like make this all. I might just leave this as auto. It's a template anyway, right? So I might as well just deduce the return type, and then if we remove this, we should get a non-const pointer back. Yeah, I just template parameters is one of those things where that is like quite a bit more niche. I very, very rarely have to write that. Good luck with the bus. I hope if it's I don't know where you're from. If it's anything like the UK, good luck. Okay, right. So this is working. This is doing things. So all I did with there was drop the trailing return type off, and then because it's auto, this just reduces the type. Auto would make it a template, but it's already a template, so I've not really like thematically changed the function. Like it's still a template, right? It's still going to go through the same compilation process. Okay, so I think textures is an interesting one because you have to construct a texture with a sampler. So I think actually what we also want to do is add the samplers to the cache. In what case is auto return type not a template? But it'll follow the template type deduction rules for the return. See if I'm puzzled this out of my mind now. I guess, is it not following the type deduction rules to infer the return type? Right, okay. I'm thinking of auto arguments. Okay, fine, thank you. Doesn't matter, it's a template anyway. But yeah, okay, fine, fair point. Thank you for correcting me. So what is the mechanical difference between a function with an auto return type and a template if they both have to be visible in the header file, as in presumably every translation unit needs access to the declaration as well as the definition. Is there actually any functional difference between that and a template? I assume other than it not going through the template machinery of the compiler. Okay, right, so now we've got that. I'm going to... So I think we can just create a default like resource cache dot insert sampler default. Because I think everything just uses the same sampler. We have no, I think we don't need any, because I've not even done bitmaps yet. There's no extra stuff we have in the samplers. Interesting. Okay. Well, there we go. Thank you for correcting me. It goes to show that I'm definitely standing up here, absolutely not perfect at this, and still figuring out this as I go along. Okay, so now we can start putting in the textures. So this would be... Why have I got this? Array of pointers. That must be important. It should create one by default because I believe sampler has just a default constructor, so it should call that. It's fine, we can construct this later if we need it. I can't remember why I had an array of pointers. It must have... Is that for passing to the does the renderer need that for binding them? Does it iterate through them? Can't remember. It's gone. Well, it's nearly gone. Okay, so let's I suppose actually... okay, fine. All these can be added though. So get rid of the default sampler because we have one, or we will do. Okay, and then we should be able to do, let's do, I feel like this is a macro, df a, I know if there's two P's in sampler, I'm going to fix it in a second, resource cache dot insert reader queue. Ooh, looking good. Nice. Oh, it doesn't need to be ampersand anymore, does it? Otherwise that'd be a double pointer. Isn't it illegal to run a vacuum cleaner past 9 o'clock in the UK? Have I made that up? UK vacuum cleaner time law. Okay, I've made that up. I'm sure there was something. Okay, I'm sure there's something restricting some noise. I'm sure there's some noise restriction somewhere, but well, what do I know? It's no walking around London holding a salmon suspiciously, which is illegal. And now I need names for all these, don't I? So this was the albedo, metal, normal. Oh, specular, wasn't it? Specular. In fact, actually, these need to be better scoped. Barrel. Okay. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. Getting there. I think this code's actually a little bit tidy now with this resource cache. Yeah, hang on. Where's the suspicious salmon law? Does your country not have the Salmon Act of 1986? It covers the legal and illegal matter within the salmon farming and fishing industries. It is illegal to handle salmon in suspicious circumstances. This is literally a law in the United Kingdom. Like, I'm not even making this up. This is literally codified into our laws. It is illegal to handle the salmon suspiciously. I believe this is largely unenforceable and is used as a example of the hangover of UK law, where, you know, because the UK has been around for quite a while, laws kind of evolve organically, and sometimes stuff gets left behind and never changed. And I don't think anyone's ever really gone back and affected this. But yeah, there you go. Just got to be careful with that salmon. Regularly cited as lists of British laws that are deemed to be quirky, absurd, or archaic. It is wild, much like a salmon. I feel like I really want to see what the case law for this is. Like, what is the precedence for suspicious handling a salmon? Because presumably someone has been tried under this. As a common law country, there must be some precedence. I really, really hope that's true. It's impossible for me to verify, but someone in the chat has said that apparently someone was prosecuted in 2024 under the Salmon Act of 1986. I can't even say that with a straight face. Under the Salmon Act of 1986. But yeah, anyway. So you can understand why I thought there might be some weird archaic law about noise pollution and running a vacuum cleaner after a certain time, because there are strange laws in the United Kingdom. Yes, Max Fosh, who I'm a big fan of, has a video on breaking weird UK laws, including, is it riding a horse while drunk, I think, and something like that. There's the other one, which I think is false. Like, another one that's commonly cited is that it's illegal to die in the Houses of Parliament, but I think that's false. I think you are allowed to expire there, but I do think you're not allowed to wear a full suit of armor in the Houses of Parliament. So yeah. Oh, what a weird, fun little diversion. I might not know what makes when auto becomes a template in C++, but I sure do know there is a UK law against salmon or handling salmon. I've kind of lost the plot a little bit now. That was a weird segue I wasn't expecting to take. This is the floor texture. Floor. The warnings come from ClangD, which is the LSP I'm using for C++. Interesting. Some insight into to expiring in the Houses of Parliament. They have to give you a full state funeral if that happens. Interesting. Okay. Assuming, I mean, I have no reason to believe you are making that up because it sounds absurd. There's lots of interesting quirks about the UK. I like the fact that you can't really travel more than 50 miles in any direction without the word for bread roll changing. I quite like that. Oh, so I need the array of textures for passing into the entity. Interesting. Does that mean I can no longer do this in the initializer list? They're not all fake errors. They are, because I'm compiling with a different compiler, they might just be different errors, which I should probably go and look at some point. So they should just be investigated. We wanted to create a bunch of we wanted to start writing some hard-coded levels, but I didn't want to give them numbers because that implies some sort of ordering, and I didn't want to encode anything about the level inside the name of the class because that might change. So we just came up with fruits. So it was just kind of arbitrary. Oh, a list of keys. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder if that's... And then pass the resource cache into that. Although if I'm doing that, I'm still going to have to create an array, right, of something to pass in the keys. I'm just wondering if I can create... Because it's a span... It says taking a span, right? So I should... it's not great, but I should be able to do something like... std vector const texture. Is that going to work for me? And then do resource cache dot get texture floor albedo. Right. It's not formatting, which means I've made a horrific mistake somewhere. I do need the floor twice. I can't remember why. But it's not the end of the world. Let's just... Yeah, we could extend it to have groupings. I don't think we need it for now. Maybe. I feel like... Imagine ST. Why can't I pass... I think I'm having a funny 5 minutes here. Why can I not construct that? It is a temporary... What does compiler have to say about it? Yeah, no, I know, I don't care about any of that. Tell me what's wrong up here. Cannot convert. Needs to be const. Yeah, but like, how do I can't make this, like, there's no rune I can write, I think, to make this temporary a const. That's a little bit annoying because it's definitely solvable. It just means I just have to do it outside. But then I'm determined to make this work. I have to construct this in the initializer list because I don't have a default constructor for it and I don't want to add one. So the question is, what can I change to make this work, basically? Can I... like... Because it needs passing multiple names, right? Can I... Okay, can I do something like this? So will this accept it? No, it's the same issue, isn't it? I don't want a default constructor because you shouldn't be default, in my mind, like, correct by construction. What would a default constructor give you? That could be this like weird half-formed entity thing that you can't do anything with. Can you make textures const now though? Maybe. I think I've just got a syntax error here. Can I modify from vector consts? Yeah. So what we're saying, we think. Oh wait a minute, why am I passing that in by const ref anyway? Spans are cheap to copy. That seems. Is that just an omission on my part? Alright, okay, fine. Now we're getting somewhere. So can I now go back to what I had before? Why is that passing my const ref? I should probably just have it. But yeah, like, spans are cheap to copy, right? Yes, I think you're right. I think that was just okay. But hang on. But this works. No. Okay. Fine. Back to square one. I'm convinced there's a way of doing this. Yeah, a span is just a non-owning view over a collection of things, effectively, contiguously, I believe. Yeah, it's just a view over an array or a subset of an array or whatever. So yeah, two iterators or a pointer and a pointer and a pointer or a pointer and length. So what am I trying to do? Right, what's the issue? The issue is that I need to pass in a span of textures into here, and I need to be able to provide those effectively at runtime. But I really don't understand why I can't. We definitely had this issue before. Why can't I not pass that vector into the span? Is that just not? I thought it had like implicit deduction guides and stuff for it, or at least a constructor for it. Yes, I know it can't, but my question is like, why can't it? Because you should be able to. Yeah, you should be able to do it over range R, right? A range to construct a view from. Why is it not calling that? No, I don't think so. I don't think. No, I don't think we need data. Oh, hang on. Is this? Cannot convert from vector texture. Da, 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 da. But what's this? Why has it got mesh and material there? Mesh, material, position scale, textures. Mesh, material, position scale, textures. Why is that? I really wish this template, this error, would give me more information. Like what about that vector does it not think matches a range? Just span texture. See if the Google has any anything enlightening. Because I don't want those textures to be mutable. I don't want people to be able to mutate things through. I want them to be pointers to constant textures, right? Unless it's okay, so it's not a. Oh, hang on, did I put that in the wrong side? Pointer. Maybe the span is thinking it's a texture point const. Maybe that's it. Let's have a look. So where do we have it? We have this, right? I'm not convinced adding more consts. So what do we think it's? I can't. Yeah, that was it. I'm gonna have to think about why, because I'm not satisfied with that personally. Like, I accept that the compiler accepts it, but I'm not accepting that I accept it. So we had a pointer to. Oh, it's because the objects themselves within it need to be const, whereas the pointers themselves were still mutable. I could have reseated them. I think that's what it's basically saying, is I needed to force the elements inside to be const, which then could match the constness of the vector passing in. I think is it something like that, right? I think the span needed to be stricter in its constness to accept the vector. We don't need the span itself to be const. Yeah, no, I'm aware of how I'm aware of what the different consts mean. Like where one this makes the pointer a const, and whereas this is a pointer to const data. Like I'm aware of that. What I was trying to rectify in my head is why we needed to have a span of const things. Passing a const vector in. Yes. Okay. So does this now work? Yes. Okay. Fine. I was passing in a const vector, and span it by default I believe would have mutating access, but marking the element as const tightens that up, which then allows it to accept the const vector. I think I'm happy with that. Whew, got there in the end. Bloody nightmare. So presumably I can do now the same thing here. Const auto. Oh, actually, hang on. I can just. Text. What am I trying to do? Jesus Christ. Game. Okay, well, I had something basically like... Careful. This is what I want. And then from here, I can just do resource cache barrel albedo. No. Specular normal. I suppose we could just be more explicit and call that barrel textures. Okay, I think that will work. Okay, it did work. Whew. Right, okay. Open it, fix const and add sampler. Fix span arg. And then pass all resources via cache. Stop it. Outrageous. I think we could add another quick level. I think we could start wiring that up. I was going to stop at 10, but I'm having fun. I will take this dinner jacket off though because I'm absolutely outrageously warm. I'll keep the dicky bow on. A dicky bow? Is that not what you call it? The bow tie dicky bow. I'm not making this stuff up. I think there's a really good quote about where is it? Yeah, let's try to find it. Oh, is it in it's in the Wikipedia page actually? Yeah, it is. But perhaps most of all, wearing a bow tie is a way of broadcasting an aggressive lack of concern for what other people think. Okay. Yeah, that's for my other channel, that. I'm gonna regret undoing these double cuffs later when I go put them back up to hang the shirt up, but I just... Right, okay. Okay. What level do we want? What fruit do we want? Preferably something I can spell. Orange? Kiwi? Kumquat? We have a kiwi. Honestly, it's going to be very much the same as Apple. Which is why I want to kind of aggressively look at fixing this next stream, and I'll go through my ideas for that in a minute. I was going to do Kiwi goes backwards, which I guess is the closest to that joke working. I am a fan of the Midnight Monster Munch. Oh, lots of British-isms coming out today. Then have a hobnob afterwards. Source game levels level kiwi.cpp level apple.cpp. Again, like, I am aware that this is massively duplicated because I'm planning on throwing a lot of this away probably next stream. In terms of a check visible game, oh, where was it? Was it? I think it's invert on the end, isn't it? And then I'm now missing it. S. Oh, Kiwi. Yeah, made a mistake there. If I got the include wrong at the top. I'm going to throw it all away. I've got a better idea for levels, or at least I think I've got a better idea for levels, which allow us to hopefully iterate a lot quicker. Okay, so that blends. So now let's go to game. Let's just check that is working. Yep. I walked the wrong way, which meant it moved the other way. So it definitely works. I should have picked forward or backwards. Why did I go right when obviously if it all works, that means it's just going to go left? Outrageous. Right, okay, so this now goes in the opposite direction, which means if we want to get him to line up, we have to go. I have one job indeed, and I got it wrong. Okay, so I think like const auto levels equals stood vector stood unique pointer level and then levels dot push back stood make unique unique level spell that wrong. Const auto, nope, don't know. Auto level dump equals 0u. I think might need to say goodbye to the debug UI for now, because I don't think this is going to play nicely, but it's fine. Get rid of that for now. So I'm going to do levels level num update. Levels level num. In fact, actually, hang on. Let's just do const auto level equals levels level num dot get. Level and yeah, I think you might be right. I think that's congratulations. So ruin the scene. Fine, whatever. Okay. And then on our this we will do level num equals game. So I suppose technically it should be size t. And then we can do level num equals level levels. Okay, getting there. I should be able to forward declare that. And then what else am I missing? Memory. Let's try to find somewhere to stick all the levels basically. Cease to def. I think that's where size t exists. Okay, come over here. Level num equals level num plus 1 modulo levels dot size. I think that's right. And then we've got levels, and then we've got level num 0u down, and then get rid of that because this all becomes like that. Here are that. I think that. Okay. Undefined game level. Oh, whatever. Let's just include it. Why? I don't use M underscore. I prefer ending underscore. Just always have. Does that fix that? Nope. Game 11. What? uh, 26. What is going on? Why isn't none of this line up to what I expect? I'm pretty sure I saved the file. Maybe I had forgotten to save it. Outrageous. Okay. Mark your bingo cards. Okay, apparently I did need that. Alright, now we're going. Now we're cooking. Oh. You're a dev, ready with 32 viewers. Welcome. We're very close to finishing for today, but I'm glad you're all here. Pumps my numbers up significantly. Hello, hello. Right, we're just going to see if this works. So this one moves, and then if I move it into there... Oh, okay, okay. It doesn't reset the camera, which is interesting. So maybe the level needs to have some sort of concept of the default cameras. But let's just move that. Why is the middle one no longer tinted? Eh? Well, there's definitely a bug there, right? 100% a bug, because that... yeah, I think it's... Let's have a look. Yeah, it's almost certainly a lifetime thing. Oh no, I don't know, because each level exists. The level is never unloaded. The level is never unloaded. All the assets should still be, all of its resources should be loaded. You're basically just changing which one gets rendered and then what state gets updated. But, oh, hang on, wait a minute. Why, have I... I think, like, editors is irrelevant. Whatever you are productive in, like, is the right choice. I like Vim. Other people like Emacs. I'm really not a zealot of it, like, because like, there's more interesting things to discuss and argue about, I think. What controls which level is resident? I currently being rendered. So that's, if we go back to game, then that would be we render the scene from the current level. Okay, so you always render the scene from the view of the player, and then the current active level, which we've seen here. But also, I just noticed it was wrong anyway. So it should add two barrels, right? The static one, which should have I bet it's because we update the resource. So I think you missed this, Haran. The issue we have with the renderer is that we needed to be able to set uniforms from outside the renderer. We wanted the levels to be able to say this object has like this uniform set, this object has this uniform set. So the way I ended up resolving it was each material has a callback which the renderer will invoke. So in the beginning of the level we set this, but then when we construct the next level, all right, immediately after that, by the way, it will then go and update this again. So the material is not, that callback is not preserved between levels. Yeah. I think the solution to that is to reset. It's a little bit gross anyway. I didn't particularly like that as a solution, but it kind of worked, and I couldn't architecturally think of a better way of doing it at the time. I think what we probably need is like a level activated message, and then the level can respond to that to basically say to update its thing, which means we'd have to construct the level with some sort of name. I suppose it does have Apple there, so we could. Well, I don't want init because that sounds a lot like two-phase construction, which I definitely don't want. What I want is the level to be able to be told you are now the active level. You need to maybe do, if there's any different setup you need to do, like for instance resetting the camera, if the level controls the camera. Yeah, well, okay, yeah. So on load, on frame, restart. So there's loads of different ways we can do this. I think I want to use the message bus for it because I think there might be other things that care about. I wonder if there's other things that care about when the level changes. But restart is also a good one. Okay, let's keep it simple to start with now. Let's go restart. So let's do virtual auto restart. 4 equals 0. Okay, and then Raffles. Override. Steady. Kiwi. Level Apple. Okay. Yeah, again, it's like path of least resistance, right? It's not ideal, but I think it will get us where we need to go. And as I'm not building an engine other people need to worry about, I'm kind of okay with it. Does mean I now need to persist the resource cache. Unless restart takes the resource cache. No, it's easy just to save it off, isn't it? Oh no, this will be the default cache now, won't it? Default cache. Resource cache. Yeah, it does make sense. Resource cache. Resource cache. Oh, hang on. Don't know why that's not updating, but okay, fine. Then we can go down here, and then we can take this, and then we'll take that, put that down here, stick that in here, make that. And then we should be able to, up in here, at the end of here, we should be able to just call restart. And then this all basically happens the same in Kiwi. Steady, stay on target. That goes there, and then slap that in there. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of the other thing. 1, 2. I'm glad we found this bug now. I feel like this would have been an absolute nightmare to find if it was like any more. It could have been a lot more subtle. Yes, I'm aware of the impact that references have on objects. However, for these, I know that they won't be assignable. I genuinely prefer not to have reference members for that reason. But in this case, I'm kind of okay with it because I'm going to be throwing a lot of this code away anyway. But yeah, it's a good point, and it's worth being aware of that difference. Levels, level none, restart. All right, let's see if that fixes it. Hey, oh, hang on. I know. I think someone even said it. I'll just get rid of all that. Don't want any of it. Right. Hey. Why did that not work on the first one? I know exactly why. I know exactly why. still need to call this after you created the levels. Yes, let's discuss that. That's a good point. I think the issue I had was they have to be set presumably after material has been called used, right? After you activate the material, you have to set the uniforms. So there has to be that code has to be done here, which means the renderer would then be responsible for calling update on things, which I didn't really like. I wanted to keep those separate. I'm not saying that's right. It might be that rendering... There might be a better way of doing it. Yeah, restart has been called in the constructors, but it constructs Kiwi last. So it will construct Apple, then it will construct Kiwi, and then that would have set the callback, whereas we wanted to make sure it's the first one. Yes, it's a per object. It's pretty simple. This there's nothing complex around it. We loop through all the entities. Each entity has associated material, and then we use it, and then we render it. What would be the per frame approach then? Each frame has material. It's probably not needed in the constructor. However, yeah, you're right. It is actually now redundant, isn't it? Let's not have code that's confusing. Good point. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm making up a lot of this as I go along. My material is, I guess, an abstraction over the compiled shader program, but also has the ability to set uniforms on those. Yeah, I think it works. It's not great, but then I think I can say that about a lot of my code. So let's add new. Oh, no, I don't want to do this yet. I want to update the other stuff first. So add restart to level. Add Kiwi level. Plumb in wire in multiple levels. A lot of commits there. Ooh, did I forget to tag the last stream? I think I did. That was... So that would have been stream 40. And this will be stream 41. Soon. Alright, let's fight. Oh, so much better. It's just it's one of those things where like it was just a bunch of it's just a bunch of hash tables. Again, that's on my other channel. Yep, I will pay the. I'm kind of thinking like, I don't know how much of it you can show, or I would want to put on it, but like even going through like the Steam process and applying and filling all that stuff, would want to do as much possible live. You know, I think it's kind of interesting experience. Okay, so my grand plan, why I still have everyone's attention, is I don't really like these hard-coded levels. I think it's kind of enough for us to... What am I trying to say? I don't really like the hard-coded levels. It's already a lot of duplicated code, and we only got 2, and the process of iterating is quite slow because you have to create a new class, you have to wire it all up, wire it to CMake, build it, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking Lua, ? It would only be, and don't quote me on this, 1 or 2 streams to embed a Lua interpreter, I think, and wire it up so that the level code all goes into Lua, and then it's super easy to write levels and easy for other people to write levels as well. Like, we could just have a Lua function which sets it up, and then a Lua function which does the update, and then a Lua function which responds when it's whatever restarts. Yeah, I've done it before in my other engine Iris, so I have some experience with it. So I think we'll do that. I think next stream Wednesday we'll bust out Lua and we'll start writing an abstraction around it, write some tests, and then I think after that we're kind of sailing. We can just rattle out levels, give it to people. People can write their own levels. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm happy to pay the cost. None of what I'm doing is like super intensive. It's a forward render with a handful of lights. It's all single threaded still. Like, I don't think performance will be the bottleneck, so I think we can use that to our advantage and try and make things a little bit nicer for ourselves. So yeah, I think we'll do some scripting next time. I think that'll be fun. That's it. I think that's all I got. I probably won't wear a tiki bow and dinner jacket on Wednesday, only just because it's more washing. And I don't really want to have to bother getting the suit dry cleaned. But yeah, I hope everyone had a good time. Thank you very much for coming along. Do join the Discord, yes, if you are a member or a subscriber. There's an few additional perks. Yeah, I think we'll figure it out as we go along. I'm happy to make some mistakes and, commit to certain designs if it makes our lives easier. Yep, sorry, you got right at the end, but it will be on YouTube. You can watch it afterwards if you're interested. Indeed. Cool. Right, everyone. I'm gonna have a beer. I'm gonna get out of my. I'm gonna stop cosplaying as a waiter and have a beer. Hope everyone had a good time. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you all on Wednesday.